welcome to Board Games with Niramas. I'm Joseph and I'm here today with Racco as usual. We are going to head into another of these top 100 games of all times episodes. And now it's time for number 70 to 61. So we're getting close to halfway. And yeah, I mean the games are just getting better as we go, of course, in my opinion. This list is of course just my opinion. You might not agree. Tell us in the comment section what you think about this segment. If you think there's some game here that you really like, or maybe there's some game that you really don't like. It's fun to just have a chat in the comments. So let's start with number 70, and it's called Lancaster. And this is a knight in the British Isles. It's sort of this whole worker placement of knights on castles to get different benefits, to build up your own little castle, which you actually have a little sort of castle, and you have these board pieces on it, which is really nice. Now the look of the game is not that amazing. It looks a bit older style. It looks a bit like I don't know, like a 90s computer game in the artwork, but it doesn't really matter because the gameplay is really fun. And I really like this game at like 4 or 5 players because you really want to have a lot of people. The map doesn't scale at all, so you can't really play it with 2 or 3, I guess, because it's just too much room out there. Because you have this worker placement element, but if I put out a level 2 knight, a worker basically, then Draco can come in with level 3 and push me out, and then I get to put my 2 somewhere else, so it goes back and forth like that. And you can like pass on your turn, and then you can get back in when it comes around to you again. And it's really fun how you keep work. You also have these little squire guys that can help your knights, so you can have a level 2 knight together with some squires becoming a level 4 to push someone out. The problem is if you get pushed out, then again the squires don't come back home, they are lost forever, but you get your knight back. You also have this war going on with France, and you are trying to contribute to the war, and whoever contributes the most gets the most points out of it. That could be tricky as well, because you need to get to a certain amount of strength in total to win the war. If you go in there, you don't know if the other players are going to join you or not. There's a lot of interaction in this game, and there's also one thing that I really like, and that's every round you will vote on laws, new laws for the kingdom. That affects everyone. And these laws can really affect the gameplay, and you can sort of see what laws are available now, or like in effect right now, and then new ones comes up, which means that if you vote yes to the new ones, they will push out the old ones, which might be good or bad for you. And to do the voting, you need to have noblemen on your side, which you can pick up as the game goes, to get more votes. And that's a really fun thing in the game. I really enjoy that. And there's also an expansion that adds more laws that I picked up. I haven't played that one yet, but just the base game Lancaster is my number 70. Then at 69 we have another Euro game that looks beautiful though. It's called Concordia. And Concordia was one of these things that I really wanted to play Concordia like a year ago, and I did. So it didn't make my last list because I hadn't played it by then. But now that I have played it, I played a few different maps. I think it's awesome, but I think there's way too little variability. So there's a few strategies you can go after, and the only reason it's not higher on my list is because of that. I like to play it like a few months in between, because otherwise I feel like I'm doing the same thing all over again. But I really like the card mechanic in Concordia. You have a deck of cards, you have a hand of cards at the start of the game. You play them to do different actions. You can get more cards into your hand as well. And then you have one card that brings all the cards back. So you really have to time that out right, so that you do the correct thing and pick them up at the right time. And there's also an expansion for this called Salsa, which is really nice. That sort of adds an element of you want to pick them up at a certain time. Sort of if you have 4 or 5 cards played out, because then you get a bonus as well. So Concordia is a really cool game, and I recommend it. It's my number 69. So 68 is a game that I made a video of, a run through, so you can check that out. I think it was a solo playthrough basically. It's called Lost Expedition. Lost Expedition is a fun, sort of small style card game, Once again, something I like in games is that you have cards that form a map. You form the map with some cards. And you're on the quest to El Dorado to find the lost city, and you're in the jungle. And you play the cards, all the cards are bad basically, or almost all the cards, and you have to play out a certain amount of cards every round, and you have to face them, the challenges that are on the card. They might lose you some food, or you might take some damage. But you need to get through them to be able to advance in the jungle and hopefully finally reach that goal. It's quite hard. I completed it solo on, I think, easy and like normal or something like that. I don't remember, but it's hard game and really fun one. You can also play it as 2-player against each other. Like you can play it cooperatively, like 4-player. I did that as well. But me and Martin tried it out against each other, where sort of I placed cards on his tableau to make it harder for him. That was really fun as well. So a lot of good play in Lost Expedition. That is my number 68. My number 67 was number 38 on the list last year. It has dropped a bit as, yeah, there's so many games to compete with, but I really enjoy this one. It's called Valletta. And Valletta is a slow deck builder, I would say. It's a deck builder, but you don't have that many cards. So you start off, everybody starts off the same. You have a number of cards. There could be a lumberjack that brings you lumber. It could be like the clay guy that brings you clay, and so on. You have these resource gathering. And you also have builders that can build stuff. And then you can build buildings that are also cards up on the board. And as you do, if I build a building, I will pick up the card from that building. And that goes to my hand, and now I have a new card in my deck, and this will keep going like a deck builder. So I will improve my deck as I keep going, and at the same time I'm trying to build buildings at the right spots and get like synergies between these buildings, because some of them give like lumber, and if you have that X amount of buildings that give lumber, then you can activate all of them at the same time. It's just really fun how you find those combos in that game. And I also like, there's a special thing in this game for being a deck builder, is that when the game end triggers, it can happen in 2 ways, but when it triggers, then everybody gets to play all their cards once more. So like you can thin your deck out as you keep going, but you don't want to do that too much, because then at the end you don't have that many cards to play, right? So that's an interesting twist on deck building, and I think it looks awesome. That's Valletta, my number 67. So 66 is another Euro game. There's a lot of Euro games on this list, as you can imagine. This one is called Citrus, and I haven't played it that many times, but it's really a puzzle game where you're sort of building up these, I think you're making wine basically, so you have these fincas, I think they're called, like where you have different types of grapes and so on, or different types of, yeah, and you harvest these, and that brings you points, and you're competing with the other ones to place around these fincas, place your tiles, but you have just a limited amount of tiles. It's quite fun and tricky, little sort of, yeah, mid-weight Euro, just in my range there for what I like. So that is Citrus, number 66. 65 is a game that I also did a video of, and that was a really popular video. You can check it out there. It's called Civilization: A New Dawn. And Civilization: A New Dawn came out last year, and really it's sort of a short version of Civilization. Like as you might know, I love Civilization, the board game. It's coming way higher here, but A New Dawn gets you a Civilization game in like 2 hours or 2.5 hours, which is kind of interesting. So you get the Civilization feeling. You are building up cities, you are expanding, you're fighting your opponents, you're getting culture and all that, and you're building wonders. But at the same time, it's done in a really streamlined way. So you don't really have any armies. You just have like control of areas, and that control can be used to pick up resources, but it can also be used to attack each other. And the thing that I really like about this game, actually, and something I would like to see in other games, in another theme and so on, is the card mechanic. The mechanism. The card mechanism I haven't seen in another game. It's just so great. You have these, I think it's 5 different actions that are put in a line, and the one to the right is number 5, the 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you use your number 5 action, or any action, it will slide down to number 1, and everything else slides up. And the higher it is, the higher, the stronger the action will become. So if you want to do like let's say you want to do attacking, well, it's at level 2 perhaps. It's not really a good idea to do it at level 2. You want to do the other stuff first so that it slides higher and becomes more powerful. But at the same time, you might need to do it because the other guys are coming at you, or the barbarians that's moving around as well. So I really like this one, Civilization New Dawn. Check that out if you haven't. My number 64, once again a game that I did a video for. You can check it out up there. It's called Arkham Horror, the card game. I did this together with Keith and Draco. And this is really fun. I didn't like Arkham Horror, the board game. I think it was way too fiddly, a lot of small rules, and it takes like forever to play and all that. And but in Arkham Horror, the card game, you get the sort of same theme, and it's really, I think it's really well made. How you're really into the theme with just cards, and it has some interesting stuff. Like it's like a scenario build. So from a scenario to another, your deck evolves. You have this deck of cards that fits your character, and you play. You're gonna play these cards for different effects and so on. And you have this map of cards that you're moving around on different rooms in a mansion and so on. You're facing monsters, and you need to find clues and solve riddles, just like in most of these Lovecraftian style games. And I think Arkham Horror, the card game, is a really good one. Then at 63, it was 47 on my top 50 last year. It's called A Feast for Odin. And this is Uwe Rosenberg's take on sort of a Viking village going out to expand. And this is worker placement when it goes insane, basically, because I think you have 63 different worker placement spots, which is just crazy. But at the same time, of course, you can't go to all of them just like that. You have, some of them demands like 3 or 4 workers to go there. And they all do, of course, different things, but you have like one line that is about catching, hunting, one is about fishing, and so on. And you need to feed your workers. It's a feast for Odin, of course, but you sort of grow crops, so you get some crops as well. You can explore. You can find these islands that you can explore, like Iceland and so on. And when you build buildings and so on, it's all about this Tetris style puzzle, just like in Patchwork or in Cottage Garden, where you have pieces of different size and configuration, and you're trying to fit them together on your board. I don't really like that part that much, but I really like A Feast for Odin in total. I think it's really somewhat fiddly and heavy, but at the same time it comes with a good insert with all these pieces in different layers and so on, depending on value of the pieces. So A Feast for Odin is a nice one, and there's an expansion coming here at Essen in a few weeks. I'm excited for that one, to see what that brings. Not that I really need more stuff for this game, but anyhow, it's always fun with more stuff. So A Feast for Odin is my number 63. My 62 is a game that has really gotten more. It's really rised on my list of games lately, and it's an older game. It's called Kingdom Builder. I played this a few times, and I really enjoy how it looks terrible, and it's really simple and so on in gameplay, but I really enjoy it. So you have this board and this map with different terrain types. You have these little houses, like wooden houses, and on your turn, basically, you draw a card. You don't have a choice. You draw a card and it says like forest. You have to play stuff on forest, and then you have to play stuff on forest, but you have these goals that you're going for that are different each game. And you're going to try to build in a way that fits those goals. It could be to build a huge community of houses, or it could be to build many small, or build at the borders, or build lines and so on. So it's kind of abstract. There's no theme at all in this game, but yes, it's somehow I enjoy it. It's a brain burner, but it's just like played in an hour. And Kingdom Builder, my 62. And finally, the last one for this list is 61, Kingsburg 2nd edition, and I did a video for this as well together with Draco. I really enjoy this one. It's a dice worker placement game. So you have dice that you place out on the board. You're trying to get certain numbers on the dice, so that like a 6 and a 3, you can go to the 9 spot, and you will get that reward. And in the 2nd edition, I played the 1st edition as well, but I like the 2nd edition a lot more, because it has... well, first of all, it has like very modular player boards, so that not everyone has the same buildings on their player board that they can build, and the buildings give you different benefits, and you need to gather resources to build those buildings, of course. And it's played over like a few years, and at the end of each year in the winter, then you will be attacked by some kind of raiders or attackers, and you need to be able to defend as well against those. So you need to build up some military strength, but you're also gathering resources, trying to build these buildings that will give you benefits, but also will give you points, of course, to win the game. And I really like how it's sort of, yeah, there's some luck involved, of course, because there's dice, but it's not that bad, and you can really manipulate it a lot. You have these tokens, so you can adjust the dice up or down and so on, so you can find the perfect fit for you. And it's worker placement, which I like, where I try to grab stuff before my opponents do and so on, which is always fun. So Kingsburg 2nd edition, check it out if you haven't. That's my number 61. And now we're done with this segment. Next up will be 60 to 51. We'll just keep going, and yeah, I'm just excited to keep doing this list. I'm just having fun with this. I hope you do as well. Tell me in the comment section if you do, and press a like on the video as well. Thank you so much. Have a great evening or morning whenever you're watching this. Take care. Bye bye.
Be like Draco. Follow Board Games with Niramas on Facebook at BGW Niramas. Board Games with Niramas is sponsored by Alara Games in Sweden.